Hi, you're with India Post Live. I'm Ishan, and India Post Live is, of course, India's first online streaming news conversation web TV. So you too can be participate in this conversation. Just log on to indiapostlive.com and log in and post your comments over there, or hashtag India Post Live to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live. All right. So today we are talking about Kashmir, and funnily enough, Kashmir has been a major issue over the past 2-3 decades, at least in terms of Indian politics, has been always been part of the political rhetoric. But this time around in 2014, in this Lok Sabha election, Kashmir oddly does not find that much mention. Why is that so? We'll be exploring that today. But first, let's take you through the story.
Does Kashmir really figure in any mainstream political party scheme of things? It doesn't seem to matter so much in this general election. The 1999 general elections was fought on the Kargil issue. And expectedly, the NDA did well after India successfully pushed back the Pakistanis. But the one major reason why we don't find Kashmir on top of any party's electoral agenda is due to the numbers. With only 6 seats in the state, it remains much lower on the priority list. States like UP, Bihar, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, which account for over 200 parliament seats, are topmost in the minds of political parties.
Alright, so what do you think? We would love to hear from you. Log in to indiapostlive.com and post your comments over there, or use Twitter to get in touch with us. Hashtag IndiaPostLive to your tweets. Today in the studio to discuss this issue, we have with us Ms. Ashima Kaul. She is, of course, a journalist and a peacemaker in Kashmir, and has been traveling extensively across the state to understand and to get the people's issues to the fore. And also Asha Kosa, she's a resident expert and has been working in Kashmir, has been a journalist in Kashmir for over a decade, and has been reporting extensively on this. But Ashima, I'll start with you. Is it just because of 6 seats and that's why nobody's giving any attention? Because it used to be a very emotional issue. People would rake it up to not just for Kashmir, but it was an emotive issue across the country. What's changed in 2014?
I think it has to be looked into the larger background of the South Asia region, the geopolitics which is happening, and the transition that our neighboring countries are going through, Afghanistan and Pakistan. There is not a larger peace process in place. The talks are not going on, and also at the Srinagar, Delhi level, as such, the political peace process is nowhere in place. And of course, like as you said, that there are very less number of representation in the parliamentary seats. But one good thing is that the general euphoria for this election in the country has also rubbed and touched Kashmir and Kashmiri youth in many ways. And because assembly elections are due to follow this year at the year end, so it's kind of building up for change to happen within the state, like you call it a curse.
But a very interesting point you make over there, that Kashmir is not feeling that alienated. Perhaps the youth are not feeling that alienated from the rest of the mainstream political commentary that goes on across the country.
Yeah, like, and especially, the R factor has also touched the Kashmiri young people. So what I'm saying is that I agree that, Kashmir is not figuring as much in the national discourse as it used to be. But maybe it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's not happening. So the young people are taking it onto themselves to do something about and to bring change. And so they are making political parties of their own, or they are joining political parties, or they're just mobilizing politically to bring a power shift.
This is a very interesting trend, isn't it, Asha?
Very interesting. And who is the best person to know than Ashima, who has been traveling extensively in Kashmir, and also she's in touch with the youth of Kashmir. And what she's hinting is very very significant, that the youth of Kashmir are getting mobilized internally, and they are trying to be the change makers. Having said that, I would look at the national perspective. Why Kashmir is not figuring as an election issue in this election? I think that probably everybody is reconciled to the issues they had been breaking up early. The rhetoric used to be about, election time rhetoric used to be about displaced people from Kashmir, Hindus largely. So there used to be a lot of political parties used to talk about them, see what has this government done, what has that government done. So this time I think we didn't hear anything about that. The other rhetoric used to be about Article 370 of the Constitution.
Yeah, BJP is completely toned down. I mean, they mentioned it in the manifesto, but it's not part of like election speeches.
Yes, I mean they have actually toned down their rhetoric on record in their manifesto. They have toned it down. While people were expecting, if the person they are projecting, Mr. Modi, they are projecting, he gives an image of a hardcore person who will probably make Article 370 much more stronger. So the hint is that no, we are not bothered that much. So I'm amazed to find all that. So are people getting reconciled to things as they stand, or they have accepted the positions, that Article 370 is perhaps not going to fetch them more votes or less votes, so let's leave it. Has it become a dead issue? I'm actually wanting to know.
Yeah, what would your take be? Because you've been traveling across Kashmir, Ashima, so you inform us on that.
Yeah, when you go to deep remote areas, or you go to villages and you speak to people, there are issues. You have issues related to security, related to your own safety, issues related to survival, opportunities, and of course, people are also sick of violence, and there is a need for a political solution. There's no doubt about it. But then, but people also wanted to look, for the politicians and for the center to look at the issue from a humanitarian perspective as well. Having said that, while there is a need for a larger political solution, people are now willing to look at options within as to what they can do about bringing change, and that is because interestingly, what's happening is young people are moving into, different institutions. For example, at the grassroots, a young 22, 23, 24-year-old is becoming a patwari, So, or they're moving into education, they're moving into different institutions. So, it's the 65% young people who in another 5 years would be kind of occupying all the institutions, and these are the young people who want to make a change statement. So that is where they need they want that that is where they connect with the mainstream.
All right, another connection with the mainstream is, of course, social media for Kashmiri youth. And that is because a comment has come in from Shoaib Iqbal, who says that Skype, Facebook, Twitter is off the radar, only comes to the fore when the need for votes arise or mudslinging starts between two political parties. So, interesting comment over there. But social media, perhaps there was misinformation earlier. Perhaps there was a lot of rumors that used to go around. This time around,
now the politicians can't fool away.
Now can't fool anybody. Everybody is connected. Everybody knows.
Empowering. It has empowered the youth of Kashmir. I think this, and I must say, this social media came after a lot of struggle. Earlier there were a lot of restrictions in Kashmir because of security reasons.
I think Shoaib Iqbal is still struggling with it right
I'm sure it's pretty bad. I mean, some of my friends complain that, we are off internet for so many days. So, due to security restriction, there are still, off and on there are problems. But overall, there's a sense of openness in Kashmir also because of the social media, and it's an empowering tool for them. That is perhaps, the younger generation about whom Ashima is hinting, they are today feeling more empowered. They somehow in their heart feel that we can do something to bring about a change. And that is the reason they are not going to violence. They are not taking the course to violence, which earlier generation had done it. That is the change within Kashmir.
That is interesting. We have a caller coming in on Skype. Aurangzeb joins us from New Delhi. Aurangzeb, go ahead. What would your comments or queries for our experts be over here?
No, just because the elections now, general elections, it's more focus on the mainland, which there has been Congress in power at the center for 10 years. So the focus, is not on Kashmir. Moreover, whatever is happening, separatists have upped the ante. They are going on anti, that giving poll boycott calls. That is they are doing that. In this part of the country, the focus is more on what is happening in the mainland, what is happening in UP, Bihar, what is happening in other parts of the country. So the focus, what I gather, is more on this. JNK, we have this.
I completely agree with you, Aurangzeb, on that. But the point at the end of the day also is that it's an I think we lost that connection with Aurangzeb. We'll try to get back to him. But I wanted to ask him about the fact that the mainstream conversation about Kashmir always used to be something that would be divisive, so to say, especially even for, as he was pointing out, mainland India. I wouldn't call it that for the rest of India, I would say. But Asha, as far as social media, and you were talking about the empowerment of social media, a very important point you touched upon was the disconnect of the 80s, the late 80s, what we saw over there,
Yes.
to 2014. We've come a long time since, and I think for an entire generation that has grown up post that violence, I mean, that is not a reality anymore, and that has perhaps changed the discourse as well.
Oh, well, yes, the generation, the new generation, who are basically hooked on to this social media, and for them, the realities are different. They are able to connect themselves to the aspirations of the people across the globe through internet and all, and they want that kind of development in their areas. They want that kind of empowerment which young people elsewhere have. So their aspirations are totally different from the aspirations of maybe people of my age or people who were in charge of situation till 80s. So the development figures very prominently in their in their discourse. So when they look around, and I'll give an example. I was there till 90s. I was there till late 90s. I was in Kashmir reporting. And till that day, wherever elections used to happen, the rhetoric was, or the genuine issues were, there is no water, there's no water, there's no electricity, and there are security forces, and there are atrocities, and there is discrimination. So this used to be the general rhetoric, and genuinely people used to have this problem. But post that period, post 90s, a period came when the entire focus of Government of India on Kashmir was that we have to develop. Development is the answer. While we sort out our problems with Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir, internally we have to change place. We have to empower people through development, through projects, and the emphasis was on that. So that, I think, gave a vision to people. A lot of young people of Kashmir, they started getting employment across India. And that also might have influenced them in some way, seeing rest of India saying, okay, we are not so bad, and we are getting connected to rest of India. So these kind of things have overall, kind of empowered people, and I'm glad that not many people are resorting to violence. Ashima has had an experience of dealing with what they used to call them stone pelters. There were those group of youth who had pelted stones, they were arrested, and Ashima has dealt with them, held a workshop with them, and she knows what is in their mind, and what she tells me.
What is in their mind, Ashima? We'll hear it from the horse's mouth.
Okay, I wouldn't like to call them stone pelters. For me,
Yeah.
they are young people who are activists and are using certain ways to express themselves. And these sense of angst or whatever sense of injustice they feel stems from many factors. It's very complex, like it's also what they've experienced in their daily life, being kind of pushed around for identity cards, for generally you being oppressed by their own parents for their parents for their security, they wouldn't let them out, but for young people to be kind of hounded by their parents and not being normal in that sense adds up to their frustration. While they're linked up to social media, they know that what young people around the world are doing, so they're not able to do that, plus brutalities which come to them, or and they've grown up seeing violence as the only expression. So some of these very complex factors, and for them, stone pelting is an act of performance. So what we started doing was giving them alternate ways of performance, of expression.
Presenting their anger.
So they kind of started seeing things in a new way, and there was a shift. There is a shift, and so we're working on that. But basically, the young people need a platform for expression, for opportunities, and many of them are finding it through political parties and political platforms. And that is what is happening. So that is where I'm linking, like, while it is true that UP and Bihar form and break the political order in India, but what the euphoria in the rest of the country or this parliamentary election is doing, that it is kind of extending it to Jammu Kashmir region, where young people are also kind of getting caught up with this entire thing, and to run up to our own assembly elections, I think it's a good sign.
All right. We have a voice coming in from Kashmir. Mr. Jamil Shaheen joins us from Srinagar. Thanks very much for coming in. We've been talking about the fact that Kashmir, in terms of the mainstream political rhetoric, as we've seen in the past elections, this time around it's different. What are the noises that are being made inside Kashmir? You observe political campaigns over there. Are people talking about development, or what are the issues or agendas being raised in the political campaign there?
Actually, to be very honest, from beginning we have seen that parliamentary elections you don't have much noises about it. Unless there are certain emotional things, like when National Conference was thrown out of power, then Farooq Abdullah's mother was contesting at that time, and then very long back when Shamim Ahmad Shamim contested against Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad, the former Prime Minister of J&K. So then we had, but this time it's a very low-key affair, and I don't see any much noises in the election campaign, and it's a very low-key affair.
All right. What do you make of, a party like the BJP would harp on Article 370 and talk about Kashmir, where it would flare up passions also many a times. But the BJP's toned down rhetoric, how is that being viewed in Kashmir? And what do you think of the AAP? Has that made a presence? Because one of our experts over here thinks that the AAP factor has made a lot of young people at least think about their politics.
No, basically our factor has definitely given it a new dimension. But the basic thing is BJP toning down is when you have an SUV available to ride, why would you ride a one-eyed horse? The question is BJP is having by stronger issues at the moment, and they feel that they are on the rise. So this time they don't need, basically what do you do when you are defeated? Yeah, you have a defeated mentality. You resort to such kind of petty politicking, using Kashmir, using religion, using Ayodhya. This time they feel they are on the rise.
All right, so that perhaps is the big difference.
That's a very good point. That's a very interesting point, that they have a bigger goal and agenda. So, like Article 370, Ayodhya, and this wouldn't matter to them at all at this point of time.
All right, but
abrogation, please let me complete. Abrogation of Article 370 goes the basis, against the basis of RSS theology, you have the ideology and BJP's ideology. Because what does abrogation of Article 370 mean? But by virtue of Article 370, we have our own penal code. That is Rambir Penal Code. And as per Rambir Penal Code, cow slaughter is banned in J&K. And anybody slaughtering a cow will be punished by 7 years imprisonment. Now, if you abrogate Article 370, you will have Indian Penal Code applicable in J&K, and cow slaughter will be permitted in a Muslim majority area. What are they telling to the people? Nobody is going into all these details.
Yeah, I think we miss the details for often the rhetoric. Asha, would you like to add to that?
It's a very interesting comment Jameen has made, but I would like to add one more thing. The other part of why Kashmir is not figuring as an issue in the election rhetoric in the rest of India. I think Pakistan at the moment is very weak. They are not raking up Kashmir the way they used to rake up. They are not in a position to support Kashmiri divisive forces the way they used to. So it doesn't bother India right now. They are not troubling us from that angle right now. And the rhetoric about having a plebiscite in Kashmir through United Nations, that is dead. United Nations has accepted that that's a dead proposal. Its validity is gone. So there is no pressure from that side. And geopolitical situation is different. Right now, there is so much anger. Nobody is supporting terrorism in any form. So Kashmiri separatists, they are not getting any support from outside. And Government of India and the political parties, they are not bothered much on that count. So perhaps that gives a sense of confidence to political parties and the regime in Delhi that Kashmir is not an issue that time, we are not bothered about it, everything is going fine for the moment, things are in place. So that is probably one of the reasons why Kashmir has not figured as a major issue in elections. Otherwise, as Jamil pointed out, it used to be a kind of point of teasing each other, you know. I did more than you, I can speak louder in Kashmir than you. It used to be slanging match between political parties on the issue of Kashmir, as Jamil has also hinted. When there is nothing happening, no hint of trouble, everybody is sitting quiet and saying, let things happen as they are happening in Kashmir, let's not interfere too much.
Jamil, would you agree with that observation?
Yeah, of course. In fact, you have to look back and have a bigger picture. Kashmir is the victim of post Second World War arrangement. The whole world got divided. Germany divided, Vietnam divided, African countries divided, Palestine divided, India divided. And everywhere these issues were kept to keep the armament industry alive. The armament industry, which was doing blooming good business during World War II. So basically, you have to see the bigger picture, and we are only feeding their factories. Otherwise, whenever any leader, you go back and see, revisit the history, please. Since 47 onwards, any leader trying to have a patch up between India and Pakistan loses either his life or his government.
Yeah,
So this is, I will quote former Prime Minister Chandrasekhar. He said that we lost 3 leaders when they wanted to settle Kashmir issue with Pakistan. It's not basically Kashmir issue. It is basically having an issue, having a dispute. It's not only here. It's so everywhere in the world, wherever these divisions. Otherwise, tell me what's the difference between North Koreans and South Koreans? They got same religion, same language, same culture. What was the difference between East Germans and West Germans?
Right.
This was post Second World War arrangement of the world. Now you have to see what is the post Cold War arrangement. Perhaps there shouldn't be a strong government in any third world country. That is the, I think, post Cold War arrangement, in my opinion. But then we will have to find out.
All right. But I do want to find out from you, what are the noises that the politicians are making when they're asking for votes in the streets of Srinagar these days? What are their promises? Is it only about development, or is there something else also on the agenda?
That National Conference has a slogan, that is autonomy. I think that is autonomy, that has been always their election slogan. And then PDP has its own. I don't think they are this time really short of these issues, and now they are only just against National Conference. PDP's main agenda is that. Then you have those smaller parties, unka to thoda sa anyway, that doesn't matter.
Well, then,
One of the other factors which has kind of dwarfed all other factors, including Kashmir, is the corruption. You know, which has been...
which is, I think, all pervasive, even in Kashmir for that matter.
So, corruption is one of the issues that young people, young political parties which are coming are also taking up, and that is the reason that, you know, in the parliamentary election and run up to it, corruption was a big issue. So, I think Kashmir kind of fell out on those.
All right, I'll take final comments because we absolutely run out of time. Jamil, I'll start with you because we have to let you go. What would your take for the 6 seats of Jammu and Kashmir be? How do you see them going this time around? Because every seat could matter in this race for 272.
I think BJP might take Jammu seat, but rest it will be coalition, National Conference and Congress.
All right, interesting point. Thanks very much, Jamil, for joining us from Srinagar, and we look forward to having you on our conversations more often. Asha, what about you? As far as the 6 seats of Jammu and Kashmir go, what would your take be?
I think who knows it better than Jamil, who is the man on the on ground zero. But I think yes, BJP will get 2, and Ladakh seat there is a lot of tough competition. They have a very strong candidate, but you know there's always a very small margin in Ladakh if votes are divided on between two candidates. So third seat, I am not sure. It will be 50-50 chances for BJP. But rest, of course, the rest 3 seats will go to the coalition.
All right,
So
one final
strong.
question. Jamil, before we let you go, one final question also. Do you think it's good that Kashmir is off the radar of the mainstream politics and Kashmiris can get back to their own politics and their own ideas and propagating that?
Positive development on both sides. At national level, we feel that this is the proof that Indian electorate has matured. Perhaps politicians also feel that we cannot no longer we cannot befool them by these emotional questions. That's one thing. This is the sign of maturity at the national level of our electorate. And for Kashmiris, it's all the more better. Because please leave us alone. We want to do something better.
All right, I think everybody just wants to move on with their lives, Ashima, isn't that the case?
Yeah, but the only interesting comment or a open letter which came from Kashmir was Mirwais to the national voter to think about Kashmir when they are voting. So that was the only kind of
I think that
plea which
also-
came. Otherwise, people want to kind of get on with their lives and to avail the opportunities. Like I said in the beginning, that the larger political issue has to be resolved. People want it to be resolved, but they are kind of taking charge of their own destinies now, and they want to do things, change things.
That's a great point. Very quickly, Asha, we absolutely run out of time.
Yes, I just want to tell you, Mirwai's letter, which was published in a national newspaper, The Hindu, I feel that is in response to the lack of political rhetoric about Kashmir.
Kashmir,
So
yes.
he's wanting some attention. Please
Yes.
look at us. There are issues.
Yeah.
You're not bothered about us. I think it was a attention-seeking syndrome from his
Yes.
side.
Yeah.
All right, on that note, we'll have to wrap up because we've run out of conversation. Jamil, thank you so much for coming in from Srinagar. Ashima and Asha, it was a pleasure to have you on this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in. Well, that's it on this conversation. What do you think about Kashmir being off the radar? Is it good for the state? Is it bad? Do you want to say something about it? Go ahead and do so. IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website. You can log in and post your comments over there, or hashtag IndiaPostLive to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at IndiaPostLive. Thanks so much for joining in, but the conversations, of course, continue right here.